In a sense, this is a call for the preservation and progressive refinement of prototypes as the core of ethnographic research, and what in a current collaborative project in which I am involved we are calling productive encounters. Prototypes are the working forms of innovation, of speculative, imaginative ideas, yet they are tied to the reality of a product that will work in technologically driven societies today. In technology, however, prototypes are disposable, perhaps remembered by techie aficionados, but otherwise they are created to be inevitably forgotten. Anthropologists in their conceptual thinking also deal in prototypes, but they invest more in them. The richness of what they have to offer perdures as such in the field. The firm and authoritative ideas that anthropologists produce as concept or theory are often no stronger or lasting than prototypes. Current anthropological debate depends on preserving prototypical ideas as a form of data, re-enlivening them for other possibilities, and sometimes excavating them back from the finished concepts as they appear in text and publication for continuing inquiry. In anthropology, so definitive ethnographic texts don't become cases for the library of future comparative work, but they become kind of stabilization of ongoing prototypes, right? In anthropology, prototypical ideas span the space of the experimental and the authoritative. The gift, for example, as many of you those of you who are anthropologists, is one of anthropology's most enduring prototypical ideas, okay? The gift is if you pulled something from the past, not magic, not this, not that, you could, but the gift is probably the most common prototype of anthropological knowledge that is used and reused for new interpretations currently. Marcel Mauss. Multi-sidedness is moving such prototypes of thinking in the field proactively to sites of receptions and micropublics variously staged, for whom these ideas may not be otherwise presented or not presented in composed forums. The envisioned role of experiment is to unfold receptions in evolving fieldwork before it reaches or docks in points of authority, offering reports to and debates with the academy, or assimilation by powerful forms and projects of philanthro-capitalist sponsors, as I mentioned. Formerly, something like this would be the endpoint of ethnographic research in the role and exercise of anthropological expertise in 1950s, 60s development paradigms, for instance. Its successors are collaboration based on philanthro-capitalist projects, for instance, the Gates Foundation, but many others worldwide based on its model. Ethnographic research in its traditional modest scale can work outside such realms of authority for considerable periods, although these define an inevitable limit for it, what I've called its docking points. In the meantime, such a multi-sided paradigm for ethnography is capable of a trajectory that does not follow processes, but moves ethnographic results as thinking, concepts, grounded speculations, prototypes, among different micro-publics that it modestly constitutes for its purposes through collaborations with, for example, designers and artists, to which I now turn. The university research project is enough, or will do, to provide the means to create a scale of diverse reception in research, a varied communicative field of experiment. Close working collaborations specific to the project are essential for the production of this kind of multi-sided ethnography, even when the latter is still imagined as the work of the lone fieldworker. For example, Kim Fortune in her 2001 ethnography Advocacy After Bhopal gives a very good account of working within circuits of activism that define the sorts of micropublics and granular receptions, she calls them enunciatory communities, that an embedded ethnographic project can conjure for its own purposes. For example, how media representations, advocacy campaigns, and legal responses all recursively contribute to making an incident into an event, and how ethnography creates its own receptions, proofs of concept, and the like alongside. We intend in center projects the same kind of partial and measured embedding of ethnographic inquiry in the practices of relevant others, but in our case, the inspirational partners or reference have been design thinking and methods on one hand, and certain contemporary art movements, site-specific and participatory art and its predecessors on the other. For ethnography, these alternative spheres promise to provide an imagination and tricks of the trade, if you want, in the norms and forms with which we are experimenting.